This podcast is brought to you by San Diego County Toyota Dealers. We've got what it takes. Fix Auto, Corky's Pest Control.
Yes.
Let's do this.
Let's
Season
go.
2, baby. STP on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Woo!
All right, so welcome to basketball season, guys. As you know, Tommy, Christian, and Aaron, a.k.a. Mr. Full Times Hoops 1.
What's good?
We are very excited to be back here for basketball season 2 of basketball podcasting. We're going to start our very first podcast with some league predictions. But as you know from last year, we're going to go back to the normal formula so that you can all relax once we get into the season. But guys, how you feeling? How's our offseason been?
Oh, it's been great. Seen a lot of basketball. Had a really successful offseason. Had my own event, the 3P Cream of the County, which is a big success. Worked with Jared Dudley on a basketball camp during the summertime, which also was very successful. And so I'm looking forward to watching a lot of high school basketball and, neglecting my family.
Perfect. Yeah, I know. And shout out to Jared Dudley and anyone else who comes back to do a camp here in San Diego. That's huge. It's awesome for the kids to see the NBA guys. Buttinger, I know you do that as well. Christian, how you been? Football?
Football. What I'm really looking forward to most in basketball season is not being dead last in the game pick'ems.
Yeah, so
I spent 10 weeks or 13 weeks of football scraping the bottom in a way that only the Chargers can associate with. And now I'm looking forward to being middle of the pack here.
Yeah, for those of you who didn't watch the football podcast, if you're just a basketball fan, we started inventing new rules for Christian. So, but you eventually came back. We made up some rules. Yeah. Anyway, we got to get to these predictions. We're going to predict as many leagues as we can in the short amount of time that we have. We're going to start with the Avocado East League. I personally I'm going to go with Vista on this one. Aaron, what do you think?
I think it's actually going to be a tie. I think Vista and Mission.
Oh, come on.
No. I think Vista and Mission Hills will split home and home. Mission Hills obviously has transfers Warren Washington and Ed Finzi, and also the Olave brothers, who were, for reasons we know, weren't able to play football this year, but are pretty good basketball players in their own right. Vista, obviously, Torres Samuels, a Division I prospect, but they've got a lot of weapons. Isaiah Morris, Jordan Hillstock, Cameron Henry, and a transfer from Otay Ranch that you'll hear about, Makana Moreno. I think those are the two teams that will dominate that league this year. But watch out also for Oceanside. Very quietly, they've amassed a lot of talent, led by their 6'6" football playing basketball player, grid star, grid hooper, whatever you want to call him, Donovan La'ai. But I think that the road lies between Vista and Mission Hills.
All right, so Aaron's too afraid to make a pick. So Christian, Christian, who do you have?
You mentioned just about every team other than the one that's going to win the league, El Camino. They lost in a Division I championship game last year, so they've got pieces that know how to get there. And this year they're going to make that adjustment. And they've got enough returning pieces from last year's team that I really see El Camino maybe not running away with it, but I see them as, when all is said and done, because this one's going to be a fist fight. This is going to be a knockdown, drag out. No one's getting out of this with a clean, undefeated league record.
Not at all.
So I just think that when all the dust settles, El Camino is going to be like last man standing type of vibe.
Let me also bring up, you brought up El Camino. Jalen Flanagan as a junior, he's one of the top juniors in the county. He's a good player. Probably going to be a Division I prospect when it's all said and done. I did fail to mention them too. They're going to be in the mix. I still think, there's few more weapons on those other two teams.
I wouldn't be comfortable if we were agreeing this early in the season.
All right, we'll stay eating. Yeah. I went with Vista. Going with Vista. We're going to stay eating avocados. We're going to go to the west side, though, and I'm going to take the Torrey Pines Falcons in the Avocado West. Aaron, thoughts?
Torrey Pines, but I think, is Canyon Crest in their league this year? They're going to be dangerous. They've got a bevy of shooters led by Ryan Michaels, who's a really good senior. They've got an underrated junior, Tyler Elsom. And they've got two kids who are waiting in the wings. They transferred into Canyon Crest, one from La Costa Canyon named Sam Crespi, and another one from Torrey Pines, who would have been the 8th man on Torrey Pines, and Jacob Travis. You add those guys to the mix of what they have, a team that has already beaten Helix, albeit sans their football players, but then gave Helix a game with their football players in the championship of the Hilltop tournament. I think Torrey Pines wins it, but I think Canyon Crest is the dark horse.
Christian?
I'm going to go with hashtag Falcons win. Aaron, you missed out on that hashtag during football season. You're more than welcome to get on board with it during basketball season. I want to give maybe my dark horse, though. We don't have to go through dark horse of everyone. Sage Creek is an interesting case study to me. They are a new team that they're not new anymore. They've been around a couple years, but they are historically not a team that anybody is scared of.
Because there is no history really.
There is no history of it, but they are starting to. They beat Vista last year. They beat Carlsbad last year.
They didn't beat Vista. They gave them a run. They gave very close.
They gave a run down to the very end. They're a team that I think could play spoiler of LCC's hopes or of Canyon Crest's hopes, and that Torrey Pines ultimately is the team that just has the most well-rounded, steady roster and gets through this one alive.
They also have a 6'10" behemoth in the middle, Jake Gilliam, that I don't think.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, maybe.
By the way, also huge shout out to Jake. Jake is awesome during football season. I don't know if you noticed him on the side in the crowd.
That's where I know him from. From SDPI Game Day.
Hey, you guys. What's up, Jake?
One of my favorite student section people of all time, Jake Gilliam. So apparently he's a very good basketball player. Who knew? 6'10" people are good at basketball. Next league we're gonna go to is the Central League. I've got the Islanders. I'm taking Coronado. Aaron, who do you have?
I'm taking Coronado as well. That's a league where, the teams that haven't been very successful in the city are now grouped in that league. I think Point Loma is going to be a factor in that league. They have a freshman by the name of Yassine Garam who transferred from Fairmont Prep in Orange County. Didn't suit up a game there, but is quite a talented kid. And Darnell Johnson, who was also in SCPI's top 20 list. And then also University City is a team to watch out. I've seen them twice this year already. And I've left very, impressed by their diminutive yet talented backcourt of Alex Bruce and Sammy Larkin, who I think is related to the baseball Larkins, and also the basketball Larkins, Shane Larkin, who played for the Knicks and for the Dallas Mavericks. But I like Coronado. They bring back their entire team from last year. That counts for something. And DJ Jackson is the best rebounder you've never heard of. He averaged 15 rebounds a game last year as a junior. And I went to one of his games against Christian. And when you see 15, you're really skeptical. Maybe there's some stat padding. He had 21 boards, I was there. So, he's a legit guy on the boards. All their guys coming back. I'm with the Islanders as well.
Love the rebounders. Christian.
I'm going to say, this is tough. I'll take a flyer here. I'll go with the dark horse. I'm going to say Crawford.
Oh.
I think that they are an underappreciated and misunderstood team. I think that, I was at their game against Santana last night, and they just came up short, which seems to be a consistent problem for them, is being in games, but just coming up short.
Last year a lot,
But last year, they were relying on one player. Mm. This year, they don't have that. They don't have that mental barrier of we've got to get this one kid involved to win. This year, they've got a bunch of guys that can dish the ball to each other, and they've just got to learn how to make the shots. But I think that's the only thing standing between Crawford and a very surprising but very possible league title.
Man, shout out to Christian for always being in Crawford's corner, man. You've been the Colts apologist the last 2 seasons.
What can I say, man?
All right, we're
I just want to be the guy that picks someone that wins one big.
going to the Coastal North here now. This is, for me, was not a hard pick. I'm gonna take Foothills Christian. Any surprises from either of you?
You know what? I think Foothills Christian runs the table, but I don't think all the games are going to be blowouts like last year. They're in the Coastal North now, which includes Orange Glen, Santa Fe Christian, who are both really good teams this year. Santa Fe Christian has a lot of returners from last year, only lost one of their key guys. Dimitri Washington and Charles Dudley will be problems in the middle for most teams. And that may be, an issue that Foothills has to deal with because their weakness is in the interior. Their guard play is superior, their speed and their tempo, but you can bruise them on the boards, and that's how you beat them. Orange Glen, obviously, they've had the quartet of juniors, Michael and Devin Diaz, Trevor Owens, and Gabe Macias, who have been there, won a Division IV title as freshmen. But now they have groomed a very capable point guard in junior Damian Miller, who had a great offseason with Coastal Elite. I saw him a lot during the summertime, was a surprise, and continued that play into the fall. Who's the other team in that league? I know I'm missing it. It's Army-Navy. And Army Navy has a guy who's been putting up video game numbers since he arrived in the country in Richard Polanco. So I don't think it's a cakewalk like last year where they just absolutely obliterated the competition, but I still think Foothills is a champion.
I'm going to agree with you. I'm also going to take Foothills Christian. What we talked with them a lot about when we were there with them for the preseason is that it's going to be a different system. Like you said, it's not going to be this get it to the big man, let him pound it in.
Did they have a big man last year? Foothills Christian? Can't remember.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Might play in the NBA.
Well, he kind of only played because he was the coach's son and whatnot.
Daddy ball.
Yeah, exactly. Just kidding.
We love you, TJ.
Yeah, he's at UCLA now? Okay, that's right.
That's a USC eye roll there.
Yeah, sorry, Kentucky. It's going to be a different look.
Yeah.
I think that I disagree with you a little bit in the blowouts. I think that they will still exist, but they're going to be a different kind of blowouts. These are going to be high-scoring blowouts.
Yeah.
These are going to be games where instead of last year 74-44, it'll be 84-54. Points are going to go up because defense is going to stop. It's going to be a run up and down, high-paced. Jalen and Richard Polanco just dunking each other. It's going to be exciting basketball.
And let's just give credit where credit is due. Jalen Hands is the best point guard on the West Coast, will be a McDonald's All-American. In my opinion, I think he's probably a lock for that game. And, he'll go to UCLA, and I think in 2 years, we'll be seeing him, in some NBA games as well.
Yeah, maybe him throwing TJ some lob passes for the 76ers. I'm trying to think who's going to have the first one. Moving on to the Coastal South, I'm going to take La Jolla Country Day in this one and all the super sophomores I've got there. Aaron, what do you think?
That's the path of least resistance right there, La Jolla Country Day. A lot of talent. I'm going to give it over to Christian.
Country Day.
All right, we're all taking La Jolla Country Day on that one. Moving on to the Eastern League, I'm going to stick with another La Jolla team, La Jolla High. I'm going with the Vikings. Aaron, what do you think?
I'm going to pick Patrick Henry in this one. I've seen the Patriots this year. They've got a very talented senior in Jelani Mitchell, but they've got a sleeper and a junior by the name of Christian Choice, a 6'5" transfer from Tennessee, long, agile, athletic defender who is the type of player who will give Reed Farley problems. Given the fact that they also have a little more depth than the Vikings, I really like their chances in this new league. Other teams to watch, I think Hoover has a couple of players, Mark Johnson, 2 transfers, Chris Modica and James Malvo from Morse are some players to watch. And also watch out for Sarah. Quincy Farabee, this senior guard there, I had him in, I did my full-time Hoots rankings. I had him in my top 25. He's one of the better guards that you've never heard of. And I think that he could be a disruptive force in that league. But ultimately, I think that Patrick Henry has just enough firepower to eke out that league over La Jolla.
Christian, what do you think?
I think that this ultimately comes down to who has the biggest superstar. And Reed Farley is a guaranteed, proven superstar. This to me also kind of reeks of the avocado, where it's going to be just an all-out fist fight. Maybe not as spectacular as a bunch of Mission Hills and El Caminos going at it, but to me this one will still be a game or a league where no one comes out clean by the end of the season. But I'll say that La Jolla comes out on top. I'll say that Patrick Henry and Madison are the two nipping at their heels.
We're forgetting about Scripps Ranch too. They have a bunch of returners and they play that grinded out style. They beat Lincoln in a game last year where I think they won and only scored 37 points.
Princeton, a little bit of Princeton hoops.
Himself. We've already had Kyle Mullins on
That's true.
Our football podcast this year. We'll see him back there with basketball. So
You got the pie me in the face.
Yeah, he did.
That was great.
You missed that.
I
Maybe we'll get it again.
Kyle, please tell me about that one.
Scripps Ranch, can you do this whole thing where we pick against you and then we just have the I get you back in the Falcon and
That was a fun day. Anyway, moving on. Going on to the Grossmont Hills League, I'm going to take the Highlanders. Give me Helix in this one. Aaron, what do you think?
Helix, they're already starting to exert their influence on City Hoops right now with the introduction of their football players back into the fold. They've got a really good dual sport athlete in Jalen Arnold. He's averaging 20 points a game on the hardwood. Really good football player for the Highlanders. But it all changes January 1st when Miles Norris becomes eligible. The transfer from Mater Dei Catholic. is a top 25 player in that class of 2018, and he's a game changer that no team in that league has an answer for. So it's the Highlanders.
You've said it all. The talent's there, the resume's there, the athleticism is there. Helix Highlanders are going to win this one.
And a quick shout out to the Dog Pound too, another one of my favorite student sections. Yep. Going on to the Grossmont Valley, I'm going to take Granite Hills. This is gonna be a close league though. What do you think, Aaron?
Very interesting league. I'm going to go Granite Hills, but again, it's one of those where they're going to get out of there with a couple of losses. Mount Miguel is a team that is very intriguing with Darian Norwood, who was on the SDPI top 25, kind of a rangy, athletic defender. Doesn't really have a position, but just makes an impact all over the floor. But Granite Hills has a 6'8" kid by the name of Ryan Kelly, also in the top 25, who is one of the more underrated players in our county. Does a lot of stuff well, shoots it well from the perimeter, can post up, is a really good passer, handles the ball just enough to be a threat off the dribble against bigger, slower defenders. So I think, and then you also have a really good senior in Cameron Spitzer who, plays well, and Darren Casio, a baseball prospect who's also pretty good. So I'm going to go with the Eagles, but again, I wouldn't be surprised if several teams have a chance at winning that.
Christian?
I'm going to go with Mount Miguel. I like Darian Norwood. I like his ability to score in various ways, and I think that ends up being the deciding factor for Mount Miguel taking this one.
Shout out to James Allen, too, at Mount Miguel. Very good guard. Played in my cream of the county. Was one of the bigger surprises.
Moving on, now we're going way east. We're going to the Imperial Valley League. I've got Brawley. To be honest, I don't know much about the other teams in this league, so I want Brawley. What do you guys think?
I'm going to go Brawley as well. Adalberto Lopez is probably the best player in Imperial County. He had a good showing in the championship last year in a losing effort against Mission Vista. And then they have a big man, Isaiah Bustamante, the kid with the goggles last year, 6'4", long, athletic kid. He's coming to his own from what I've heard. They've already beaten down Coronado. Coronado didn't have DJ Jackson, but they beat them by 24 points out in the Imperial tournament at Imperial High School. So, Brawley.
Christian?
Brawley, you return championship game pieces, you got a good shot again, in my opinion.
All right, going on to the Metro Mesa. I'm going to take Modern Day Catholic in this one. I know they lost some guys for transfers, but I still think they've got the best team. What do you think, Aaron?
And how many coaches can say that they've lost 2 potential McDonald's All-Americans in the span of 2 years and still be a pretty good team, left over? Trey Anderson is no slouch. Jacob Viss, Cliff Kidd, Brandon Keys are all guys who have been there, who have been in wars. And they've got a freshman there by the name of Beon Riley. They used to call him BJ back in the day, but he likes to go by his given name, Beon. 6'2", built like a tank, and plays point guard for them. And he is special. He's one of the top 3 prospects in that class. I'm going to pick Mater Dei, and I think they really do kind of step on everybody else in that league.
Christian?
Go with Eastlake. I don't like inconsistency. I recognize that Mater Dei has that talent, but I don't like moving pieces. I don't like trying to replenish and refill every single year when you're doing, okay, Miles Norris this year, then this guy, then that guy. I just think that requires a little bit of runway until you hit your stride. So I'm going to go with Eastlake.
All right, moving on. We're one of the smaller divisions of the Pacific League. We like to talk about the smaller divisions too. Obviously, I'm going to go with Tri-City Christian in this one. Aaron, what do you think?
Tri-City Christian is my pick, even though they lost to Pacific Ridge already. But I think when they get to conference play, I think that they have the best player in that league in Steven Sedlock, 6'6", transfer from La Costa Canyon, just a flat-out just stud shooter. I mean, he's like the prototypical stretch 4. His brother Josh transferred also. He's a sophomore, a really good shooter in his own right, and they've got a lot of returning pieces. Pacific Ridge has a good player in the name of Noah Quo, 6'3", kind of a bruiser for them, really good scorer, and he's had some big games already this year. But I think that when push comes to shove, that experience that Tri-City Christian has is going to, trump the talent, the individual talent of Noah Quo.
Christian?
Pacific Ridge, please. I like you said they've beat them. And I like fire and I like birds, so I like the Firebirds.
What about Freebirds?
Yeah.
Great song. Great song, great restaurant. Closed down in Hillcrest. It was just okay.
It's all right.
was
It's all right. It's okay.
No, I'll take Pacific Ridge here.
Okay.
Also, I really like that pick for a reason. I like schools that don't have football teams and the for whatever reason, because the student sections get more excited because they don't have the football games to go to. So for
Basketball is football for them.
exactly. So I like Canyon. We were talking about Canyon Crest earlier.
Sage Creek.
Sage Creek.
Yeah, Pacific Ridge turned out big for girls lacrosse last year, even. So they're desperate for something to root for. But yeah, I agree with you that there's a fun vibe about schools where they shift their focus from football to other. You pack it into that gym, get some energy, get some big home wins, come out with a league title.
All right, South Bay League now. I'm going to go with Olympian on this one. Aaron, what do you think?
I'm going with Castle Park. Castle Park. This is one of those leagues again where Christian, you mentioned earlier, the team with the best player, the superstar. There's no superstar in that league, but Castle Park has a 6'7" sleeper in Adrian Lee. He's a junior this year. Very talented forward, can shoot it from the outside, can score from the inside. And again, he's one of those players that is a matchup problem for the rest of the league. Olympian is a very good team. They're solid for that league. Marty Ellis, champions pedigree, won at El Cajon Valley when he was there. This is year 2. He's got a young guard by the name of Gio Martinez, a freshman. You'll hear about him throughout his career. He's a solid point guard, and he's only going to get better. But right now, 6'7", size matters.
Can't teach size, can't stop size. I'll go with Castle Park.
All right, there you go. Size matters, guys. You just got to remember that. So what's one take? If you have one takeaway from this podcast, that's what I want everyone to know. Sorry, lose my voice a little bit there. Anyway, going on to the Valley League, I'm gonna go with the Ramona Bulldogs in this one. We got to go out there to a game. Last year was awesome, great environment. We want to talk about good environments. I've got Ramona in this league, Aaron.
I'm gonna go with Escondido. Ramona and Escondido will battle, I think, for that league. I like Jacob Moskowitz, 6'6" wing, who was kind of a role player last year. Obviously, they graduated a lot and then lost Warren Washington to transfer to adjacent Mission Hills. But I like some of the other pieces that they have, that are kind of holdovers. Jacob Hutchison, a sophomore guard there, is a solid player who's gonna play big minutes for them. Again, this is one of those leagues where I don't have a ton of intel about Valley Center or some of the other teams there, but I do like what I see from Escondido. What I've seen from them in the fall, I'm gonna go with the Cougars.
I'm gonna take Valley Center. I think that it's kind of telling that all three of us can. This is the first league that all three of us have picked different teams. That this one, there's just so many unknowns when you have such heavy graduation and transfer that you lose all these people from. One team that didn't lose a whole lot in graduation was Valley Center. They lost Terrence Beckvar, but
That's a big loss, man.
but that's not multiple pieces.
That's 25 points a game.
But it's only one. To me, it's only one piece. It's not a they didn't lose him and the guy that gets him the ball and the center down low. So yes, it will require they got to resource those points, but it's just one piece moving forward. So I like Valley Center.
All right, last league we're going to talk about here, and it's arguably the best league in San Diego. It's the Western League. I'm going to go with the Dons here, Cathedral Catholic. I think they have the best player in the county, and I'm just going to stick with that. I'm going to stick with Brandon McCoy and the Dons. What do you think, Aaron?
I'm going with St. Augustine. Ooh. And here's why. Last year, Brandon McCoy was surrounded by some very good pieces. Cameron Moore, who's now at NYU. Kyle Capps, who's now at Vassar. Reed Johnson, who's a student at SMU. And Austin Beach, who just had a 28-point game for Adelphi, which is a Division II in Philadelphia. Those pieces were considering what we have in San Diego, that was an elite team. The returners that they have outside of Javon Figueroa are very unproven. Zach Green, Christian Moore are solid athletes, but haven't had a ton of game experience. And Brandon McCoy, for all the things that he does really well, last year one of the things was that his offense was very self-contained. He would have 28 points, 12 rebounds, 1 assist. He's going to have to be the guy that sets the table for these neophyte pieces to work. That's why I'm going with Saints, because they return everyone with the exception, obviously, big loss of Eric Monroe and Martin Tombe, the winningest duo in that school's history. But they've got Otto Taylor, Jack Peterson, And Tayshaun Cherry, at this point right now, if you're talking about pure productivity, is the best junior in the class. Obviously, Helix's Miles Norris is the best prospect, but Tayshaun Cherry is the best player in that class. I think all of those pieces give them a slight advantage, and not to mention, they're going to have their first home game in their school's history coming up in the fall. Coming up in the come New Year, because they're getting a new stadium, they're getting a new arena, and they don't have to play their home game at Point Loma Nazarene, which becomes a neutral contest that's anybody's game. So I'm going to pick the Saints.
Christian?
Did you make your pick?
Yeah, I'm with the Dons.
That's right.
We did a little road on
I
together.
just wanted to make sure because you guys are forgetting the team that's going to win.
He's about to blow us all up, man. It's about to get crazy.
Kearney.
Woo!
Robbie Robinson, this is his coming out party. I know that we all know that he's a good player, but he is not surrounded by as many options as he was last year. So it's on him now to man up and play more responsible, more controlled basketball. We've seen some moments in the past where there's a little gap in his game because he has so many pieces there to pick him up. It's time for us to see really what he has. And I believe from what I have seen of the raw talent that Robbie has the ability to take games over and to control games, and he's got the size to battle down low. Whether or not that's going to translate into a runaway season or a bad, I don't know yet. I just get the feeling that when it's all said and done, Kearney's going to come out on top.
K-Hop?
I mean, yeah. I don't know the rest of the chant. Oh, you know? Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm not in their student section.
Did you know it?
No.
No. Oh, maybe I'm the only. Oh, I'm the only true
game
comment.
day there
I did. I did a game day there. Okay, that's
Hey, hot, you know? You know? Is that it?
You know?
That's it. Yeah, pretty much.
Hey, okay. Well,
Yeah.
we got it now.
Yeah.
It's
Learn something new every day.
Go Saints.
Go Saints.
And K-Hop, you know.
All right, guys. So that'll do it for our first podcast of the year. Again, we'll be back with you every single week. The other ones will be a little bit different. We'll bring back the Dunker Dish,
Top 10?
top 10,
Nice.
and some game picks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And bottom line, we want to hear from you guys. If you want us to ever talk about anything, talk about any teams, come visit anything, tweet us. Let us know.
Full-Time Hoops 1, that's my Twitter. I'm also pretty active on Instagram at Full-Time Hoops 1 as well.
That Insta?
Hey, you know, I got all the photos on deck.
Snapchat?
No, I don't actually.
Okay.
no one's allowed to follow my Snapchat. I'm keeping that one private. No, I'm keeping that hidden. There's no way anyone's going to find that one. Anyway, we'll be back with you next week again with the game picks, the Dunker Dish, top 10, and everything, all the fun stuff for basketball season.
We out.